Hey there everybody, this is Brian Fink from the Church of the Resurrection with a word from the DCC. And I'm glad to be back with you after a week off. My family was very, very sick, sort of horribly, disgustingly sick. I don't even want to tell you the details, but it was like out of a horror movie. It was about as sick as I've ever been. So there's that. I'm glad for your patience. I'm glad to be back with you on this beautiful, beautiful May afternoon. And before I continue, I want to say this is a holzhausen. It's a wood house. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out one of my previous videos about beauty, and you'll learn a little bit more. So I'm going to stand next to the holzhausen and do this thing. Today I thought I would spend a couple of minutes talking about my perfect, imperfect life. And the reason I thought I would talk about it is that a couple of days ago, my wife posted some pictures of our kids online. And the pictures are just adorable. I mean, they really, really are. I was really moved to see them, see my daughter who's 3 and my son who's 15 months old, being together, and my son's got this little bow tie, and my daughter has this beautiful dress, and her hair, I mean, it was just adorable. But the more that I looked at them, I thought, those are not my kids. I don't know whose kids they are. I mean, they kind of look like my kids, but those aren't my kids, because my kids never look like that. They barely look like that. The vast majority of the time, they're whining and complaining and pooping in their pants and causing all sorts of grief and not staying asleep long enough and not eating and whining and doing all sorts of things that drive me and my wife crazy. And I thought, I wonder if I could capture that in a picture. But I also thought, I don't want anyone to see that side of my life. I don't want anyone to see the side of my life where my house is a total disaster. And I don't want people to show up and see that. I want them to see the very, very best parts of who I am. Well, which is fine, but if that's all we ever show one another, then we get caught up in thinking, well, their lives are clearly better than mine, and their parenting strategies are way better than mine, because look at my kids, and I don't have anything figured out, and I can't keep my house in order, and I can barely even keep my head on straight. So I thought maybe we'd spend a couple minutes convincing one another that we can stop pretending. We can stop pretending that our lives are all put together. We can stop pretending that everything's okay. We can stop pretending that we've got it figured out, because nobody has it figured out. Don't even get me started on the rest of the things that are going on in my life that I haven't figured out yet. Huge pile of laundry in the house. I don't know if I have clean drawers ready for tomorrow. I don't even want to talk to you about the dishes. There's a bunch of dead bugs in the window frames and the window sills in my house. The garden's not even started, and I don't even know where to begin. I've got a bunch of wood to split. My kids are driving everybody insane. I got a bunch of grades to put in before the end of the semester, and I fed my kids lean cuisine, turkey and vegetables tonight, and I mixed it with ramen noodles. And a couple of days ago, we ate macaroni and cheese for dinner. So there's that. And the 17 bananas that my son eats every day, they're not organic. What are you going to do? Everybody can relate, I hope. And it's okay. The question is, are we living out our primary vocations? Are we living out the life that God has called us to live? And by vocation, let me clarify, I don't mean my job as a teacher, as part of the parish leadership, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, am I living out my life of discipleship with Christ? Well, I'll start there. I haven't been to confession in over a month. I try to read the scriptures every day. That rarely happens. I don't know the last time I sat down and actually prayed with my wife. in an authentic way. We pray prayers at night together, but really prayed with her. Am I cultivating a life of virtue in my children besides yelling at them? I don't know. But that's my number one goal. And beyond that, am I loving my wife? Am I loving my kids? Discipleship, primary vocation. No matter what I do in the rest of my life with my career, if I'm not living out my primary vocation, marriage, priesthood, consecrated life, religious life, that's what matters. That's what's at the heart of what God is asking us to do, however imperfectly. It's beyond imperfectly. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. But am I living my primary vocation primarily? Am I surrendering everything else and sacrificing everything else for my Lord, for my wife, for my children? Or in the case of a priest, for my Lord and for my people? And in the life of a consecrated person or religious person, for my Lord and for the community with which I'm a part? That, my friends, is what the Lord will ask of us when we come to meet Him. And I actually had this really profound reflection about that because it was several months ago, and I was thinking of my new job and my new position and the things that are being asked of me, and can I do it, and am I living up to it? And the Lord just said, Brian, do you love me? Do you love your wife? Do you love your kids? And it was like I was at the particular judgment. And He asked me, do you love me? Do you love your wife? Do you love your kids? And that was it. He didn't ask me anything else. He didn't ask me about my job, about my career goals. He didn't ask me about my retirement. He didn't ask me about my net worth. He didn't ask me about my volunteer hours. And that gave me great peace to think about the fact that I don't have to live up to anyone else's standard. That picture that I posted earlier about, keeping up with the Joneses, that's not my house. I live in a tiny little farmhouse that has 1.5 bathrooms, and it's pretty gross in a lot of ways. I don't have fancy new cars. I don't have anything. But if I have the Lord, I have everything. And if I'm trying as best I can to raise my children with my wife, loving her and serving her, then all is well. So take a look at my kids, my pictures of my kids, and they're adorable, yes, but they're monsters. You're always welcome at my home, but it might be a mess. And know that we don't have to pretend, because we're all in this thing together. Alrighty? Thanks very much. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.